There comes a point in every man's life when we're hit with this overbearing weight of what is my purpose? What are you doing with your life? And for some people, it hits in high school. Others, it hits in or out of college. And frankly, sometimes it doesn't hit until we're about to die. And I know that's super dark, and this isn't going to take a weird, dark twist, but for some people, that is the reality. And for some people, they find their purpose like right away, like boom, this is exactly what I'm doing. I feel it. This is it. And for others, it's like a treasure map. It takes all these different turns. Like, hey, I started here, now I'm here, but hey, I think I'm going here. But there's like this, I have this feeling, and I've never felt that before, and that's beautiful. Not one way is right, and not one of those ways is better than the other. They're both just as equally as beautiful. And that's what makes humanity beautiful, and why being imperfect is so awesome, and just being imperfect is perfect. Plain and simple. But I just can't help but notice how easy it is to think, okay, I'm going to do this. And then I hop on social media, or I hop on Netflix, or I hop on wherever, and I see somebody else either doing the thing I want to do or seeing them do something better. And then I'm automatically thinking, never mind, I can't do this. They're way better at it than me. I don't have whoa. Maybe I'm not good enough. It's so easy to do that, especially in today's culture. You pick up your phone, boom, I'm on Instagram, and I'm seeing all these people doing amazing things, which is awesome for them. But then you start reflecting and you're like, I don't think I can do that. And it's just, it hurts me because I just feel that there's this giant epidemic of these identity crises that aren't just only happening in men, but like women too. And I just really want to break that stigma of you don't have to have it all figured out. And just because somebody on screen looks like they're doing something absolutely amazing, they didn't start that way. And they're maybe not feeling the way they look on screen. Just saying. And that's okay. That's beautiful. Everybody has their own path. Some people find it right away. Others take a treasure map, if you will, going from all these different points to find their treasure, which is their purpose and their soul's desire. And there's something really beautiful about understanding that, okay, in order for me to work past this feeling of what is my purpose, I think I might have to just get my hands dirty and just build. And that doesn't physically, it doesn't actually mean to physically build something, oh, what's my purpose? I'm going to go build a bank. No, your purpose comes from at least what I think and what I'm starting to feel, because quite frankly, I've been really just in a rut of what is my purpose? Because I am that person that jumped on Instagram and was like, all these people are doing such amazing things. And what am I doing? I just feel like what I'm doing is not even close to being worthy enough. And finding your purpose doesn't just mean aha, I got it. It means I'm going to build something that not only lays the foundation for me, but can lay the foundation for my family, my loved ones. Also, maybe even build a community of all these people, and that could support them and support their dreams and support their struggles. That is so awesome. And there's really big fulfillment into that. But sometimes it takes, in order to get to that building part, to jump out of yourself a bit. Take that step out. You don't have to put all that weight on your shoulders of what am I going to build? That's a lot of pressure. Step back a little bit and think okay, I there's a community around me. I have this idea. What can I do? There's fulfillment into that. And don't just scroll by and don't just feel numb or say, hey, I'm too busy, and use those, what's the words? Use not lies, but oh, I should do that, but I'm a little too busy today. You know what I mean? That avoidance. Don't avoid it. Jump into it, This podcast is called Find the Line. And the idea came to me in the midst of all those thoughts. I was just word throwing up right there on the screen, but it came from a lot of self-reflection and feeling that oh man, they're doing really good. Some of my friends are getting married and they're out of school and they got their degree and they're yada, yada, yada. And just feeling I am really scared, or I don't know how they found their foundation, or how they found their building blocks. This podcast came from that because none of them had it figured out. It all came through a bunch of goals and trials and tribulations. And what I mean by finding the line is, what is a goal you have? And how can you step out of yourself to not have to feel the weight of it, but step out and feel the beauty and the presence and the art of actually building it to get to that goal? Finding the line is pushing yourself and to get out of the comfort zone. Because I'll be honest with you, I was in the comfort zone for way too long. I am somebody that does get really, really scared with change. I'll talk about it in another episode, but I moved out to California in my 8th grade year after having a really good core of friends. And that was so scary. And frankly, I think that was part of I wouldn't even call it a wound, but something inside of me that also helped, or that didn't help my self-confidence. And so anyway, finding the line is like pushing out of that comfort zone. And if I were to go back to my 8th grade self, it would have just been like, hey, this is okay. You still got your friends in Colorado. And you know what? This is a brand new opportunity. This is so cool. You're going to go to this other school with all these new kids and teachers, and the world is endless with meeting friends and meeting people and learning about yourself and finding your rhythm and learning. And this is awesome. So take a deep breath. But of course, back then I was just too scared, and like I put the weight on myself, like, oh, it's so scary. But this podcast is just as much as like a platform to hopefully give people that feel like they have a voice, or everyone knows they have a voice, but some of them are really scared to say it. And I was one of those people, super, super scared, because I used to think like, nobody else feels these feelings. Like I'm kind of an anomaly. Like nobody else feels this. Everyone else got it figured out, but it's not true. And it's okay. There's beauty in that. And step out of your comfort zone, because that's where growth comes. That's where grit comes. And that's where like tangibly building something is so awesome for the mind, the body, and the spirit. So find the line. I want to make a platform for people to not feel scared and to like embrace what's making them uncomfortable, or embrace their opinions, or embrace whatever it is, and just feel the ease and sense of like, come forward, like let's chat. I want this platform to be a voice. I'm not an expert by any means. Like I'm not an expert. I'm literally just a dude going through it. And I've learned so much. And then jumping back into my faith has helped learn even more. And I just feel like, gosh, man, if somebody is out there and is feeling like so scared, or like, oh man, all the experts, they wouldn't listen to me. That's not true. You're validated. And this podcast is created to like break the norms and to break the stigmas. And I will be talking a little more toward like to men, just because obviously like I'm a guy. I've had my own experiences being a man and going through it, and being in like the friend group I have, and seeing what we all struggle with collectively and individually, and finding ways to break the stigma. And again, all these principles can be applied to both men and female, like not a big deal, but break these stigmas of it's okay if you don't know your purpose tomorrow. It's okay if you don't know your purpose today. But if you have a will to find it, and you're working and you're building community and working in tandem with so many different things, then you will find it. And also break the stigma of like, there's so many different ways to look at life and to build a good life and to build happiness and to build community. And there's all these new tools and platforms. Like that's what I want this podcast to be at the end of the day. Find the line. What is your line? And I like to think of it as if you're like a track runner and you got to run a dash, like a sprint. You got your starting point and you got your end point, and your line, it actually is a physical line, is the finish line. And once you passed it, you just did your goal. You did it. You ran the 100-meter dash. Perfect. What's your next goal after that? How else are you going to build and find your purpose and find your passions and find your voice without building all these different lines? So why not? Again, I'm just a dude going through it, and I would love to just share some of the knowledge I have. I want to kind of step out of this podcast and just give different lessons and help people, and hopefully just build a community that we can all stand on and just help each other out. That's most of it. And it's going to take a lot of coming out of the comfort zone. And I'd be lying to you if I said I was not nervous to make this podcast. I'm scared. I don't know where it's going to go. There's a lot of still like, nobody's going to listen. And it's part of being human. Everybody has these thoughts with any different facets, not just hitting record on a camera, but that's what Find the Line is. I firmly believe that we all can find our own individual lines and hit them and continue going and continue growing, because it just makes us better people, better husbands, better wives, better friends. And there's just so much to learn from your neighbor. You know, experts have all the wisdom in the world, and there's so much to learn from them because they've done it. They've lived their craft. But there's also beauty in just hearing what your neighbor has to say, hearing what the person at the bus stop has to say, or even hearing what your best friend that usually doesn't always speak up has to say. You never know what you could learn. There's just beauty and community in that. And that's what this podcast is. And that's what I wanted to use. I'll talk about it in another episode, but when I say find the line, it originated when I started my landscape design business, because when you're designing a landscape, you're obviously working with nature, and nature's imperfect. And so when you're trying to build something that allows humans and the earth and structures to work in tandem together without allowing one to overlap, you have to find a line to make something so imperfect flow. And that mentality has kind of followed me all throughout my life so far in my careers, is like, how can I make these crazy thoughts or these scary endeavors all work in harmony and still grow and build? That's finding the line. And you have a community and you are heard, and step forward and share your thoughts and try, you know? I also want to read some scripture. I recently jumped back into my own faith and started this whole new Christianity endeavor. And to anybody who's been lifelong Christians or who just started their faith or have different religious views, I don't want to just spew Christianity on you and be one of those guys, because I understand it. And I was on the side when I was in high school and like middle school, and even up until last November, where I used to think that, why would I follow Christianity? Like, why would I follow any of these religions? I used to have just a narrow mind and never fully understood it. But now that I jumped into Christianity, I found something that works for me and that gives me purpose, and also helps when things get really, really tough and you're like over hyperanalyzing yourself and your decisions. It just helped take me out of the picture for a little bit and have this weight of like, okay, this is just part of my journey. God has a bigger plan for us, for me, everybody. And it just made it feel so much more easier to navigate really scary times. But again, I don't want to just spew this on you. This is just an avenue I found. You will find your own avenues. And like I'll say in a different episode about learning, you'll find your own rhythm when it comes to learning and coping. And like, nobody tells you that, especially as a guy. Like nobody tells you there's different ways to process feelings or moods or whatever. You know, some guys love to process emotions by going and working with their hands, going and building, going doing yard work, going and doing housework, starting a new hobby, fishing. And if you were to tell me if I was in high school that like going fishing is one way to cope with your emotions, I would have thought you were nuts. Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? You're throwing a worm in water. You'll understand. And so when I read scripture, I just want to give you another avenue or another thought process, and also just give you a little look into where my head has been for the past how many ever months. And like reading something so plain and simple on paper, it can have so many different interpretations to different people. That's what's also beautiful. And also why I wanted to start Find the Line. No line is going to be the same. Your line is going to have a different meaning to other people. I always like to say, like, everyone has their own way of saying the color red is red. This is that. Your line could look like a straight line, but it's going to have a different meaning to you than it will me. And that's beautiful. And that's what I think helps build community and foundation. So before I keep sounding like just a broken record, let's jump into some scripture. This one I have been toying with for some time now. It's one of my favorites at the moment. It is Ecclesiastes 7:1. It's so simple, but it's so beautiful. And like, the other reason why I want to start this podcast is to realize that simplicity is key. In a world where I feel that everything is so fast and complex, and in order to stand out, you have to do something crazy now just because there's so much competition, it's not the truth. And it works for some people, being out there and crazy and doing these cool things. There is a time and place for that, but you don't always have to rely on that. You don't have to rely on that mindset for to be verified or validity. I'm not an English major either. There's a word I'm looking for. Validated. That's not true. Sometimes the most simplest of things can be the most impactful and the most beautiful and help just create revelations and to help unlock your brain if you're stuck on something. Sometimes all it takes is one little like, oh, wow, I really did overthink that. It's this simple. Simplicity is always the key. And whatever that means to you, you will find your purpose and your calling. So let's jump into this. It says a good name is better than fine perfume, and the day of death better than the day of birth. Bars. Like, that's just straight banger. You know what I mean? And that's written, like, that's from like our traditional scripture. I got another Bible that's more contemporary and just like lays it out in plain English. So I'll be doing a mix of readings from the both. But so here we are. This is a more contemporary wording. A good reputation is better than a fat bank account. Your death date tells more than your birth date. Even more bangers. No, but like it's so simple. Ecclesiastes 7:1 is so simple. Being able to have a good character and a good soul and something that you proved and built and worked for is way more impactful than the nice car, than the nice house, than a ton of money, than the coolest clothes. That's all materialistic. And like all that could be taken away from you. Money could be taken away. Cars could be taken away. Your house could be taken away. But what can't be taken away is your spirit, your grit, and your will to build. If you built a foundation for not only you, but your family, your friends, your community, you started a community and you left something that's way more tangible than like something we can grab, man, that is way more valuable than money. If you're working and you're providing from like a headspace of this is giving me pleasure, this is giving me comfort, I'm helping people, this is where I feel the most me and in my purpose and the most, in this case, helping God, that's way more valuable than I'm just going to work and get a ton of money. And I know for some people that's kind of obvious, but for others it's hard to grasp. And if I was in high school, especially now, like again, like with social media and Netflix and Hulu, you see all these cool shows and these people doing amazing things. And you're like, they made it. Like that's making it. That's purposeful. That's going to make me feel so good. If I had what they had, I would never have a problem in the world. And it's just not true. While that's awesome, and those people did amazing things to work where they got, and Godspeed to them, they've done it, and they're providing whatever for people. Is that right for you? Is also at the end of the day. It's good for them. That's what made them happy. You think. You never know. Behind closed doors, it could be a different conversation. But that's what made it for them. Is that what is going to make you happy and lay that foundation? So to that point, what foundation are you wanting to lay? Who do you want to help? Who do you want to impact? What's tugging at your soul? How are you feeling about your purpose? How are you feeling about purpose in general? What's tugging at you? And is what you're thinking about and what you're building, is that going to be better than a fine perfume? And then also beyond that, your death date tells more about your birth date. Man, like in a day of death better than a day of birth, that's kind of hard to swallow because a lot of people think that being born, that's so beautiful. Welcome to the world. You're on earth. Your mom did an amazing job. Your parents, this is it. Happy birthday. It's so big. But let's think about what happens when you die. Did you leave that foundation for everyone to sit around and just marvel and think, wow, this is awesome? Now, this is going to sound really nuts, but I don't even know how to. Are people? So don't take this the wrong way. I'll show you what I mean. Are people going to be sad once you're gone? And I know that sounds crazy, and like it even sounds crazy coming out of my mouth. But what I mean is, did you leave a foundation for them to go? Okay, he is gone or she is gone, but the spirit that she showed me. If, for instance, if you were a kid and you lost your parents, but you know they're gone and it's sad, but the teachings and the ideas and the motivations and all the skills that they've taught you still live within you, and their spirit is around you. It's in the communities that they've taught you and formed, or it doesn't even have to be parents. It could be anybody. That is so much more valuable than did they leave a good lump of wealth for me? Did they leave whatever? What teachings, what philosophies, what pillars, what structures, what did they leave is so much more impactful. And like the day of death you've built something. So it's not like a day of sorrow, not a day of grieving, but a day of like, that was amazing. Like they can rest in peace and I can see them and I know I'm going to see them again. And yes, it's sad they're gone now, but what they've built and what they've showed me and what they left is so beautiful. And that is way more valuable than the car, than the truck, than whatever they have. You know what I mean? So much more than the materialistic things. And that spirit will always live in you and will always live around where they were. And that's what that verse to me, I think, is what it's saying. And I think it's so beautiful. And whatever your goal is, the completion is the most beautiful aspect. Don't focus on your failures. Don't focus on getting started. I mean, of course you want to get started, but focus on how good it will be to complete that goal and what legacy that goal not only leaves in the short run, but the long run for you, your communities, your family, your friends, whatever. That's so beautiful. Finding that line is so fun because it's like, okay, this is what I'm working towards. This is what I want to do. And this is who I want to surround myself with. And let's break the norms. There's not one way to learn things. It's okay to feel emotions, especially if you're a guy. Feel your emotions. I know that's nuts. It's hard for me to grapple sometimes. Feel your emotions. Find ways to cope, healthy ways to cope with them. And don't be afraid to build a community. And don't be afraid to speak up and say, hey, I am going through this. And I would love some help. And I want you to be around me because I trust you. I trust your wisdom. And I know we could build something great together. And feel valued and feel loved and feel the power of community. That's what I want this podcast to be. Take me out of it. I just want this to be a medium for people to circle around and feel safe to speak up. And again, I'll be transparent about this from episode 1 to episode 1000. If you have a story and you want to come on and share it, please shoot me a message. I would love to chat with you because your story is beautiful and it's valid. And I think it needs to be heard. And that's how communities are built. That's a lot. I'm sorry. I hope that wasn't just like word salad, but I really, really appreciate you tuning into this. And I thank you so much for listening. Again, I'm not an expert. I'm just a dude going through it. And I want to be surrounded. And I want you to feel surrounded and loved and see all these different perspectives and use my story as it's just my story. But again, your neighbor story or the friend that's always quiet in your group story is just as important as the expert. Just as important. So I think we all need to be in this together, and that's the power of encouragement. And I just challenge you right now, like what's your line? What line, like what's your challenge? What do you want to work through? What do you want to achieve? What are your goals? How do you feel about your purpose? Let's hit it. Let's hit it together. And please, please, please feel free to leave a comment, shoot a message, or keep it to yourself. It's okay. Not a big deal, but we're here. What is your line? Do something to like push yourself this week. Maybe wake up earlier. Maybe text that friend you've been contemplating texting. Ask for a raise. Be bold. Do something crazy. Just kidding. Not like crazy. Go drive backwards down the highway. Just kidding. No. But do something that's been tugging at your heart or that you feel the need to do or speak up or even journal. Sometimes that's a really hard step, especially for guys. Whatever you're grappling with, put it on paper. Vocalize it, get it out. And remember, you don't have to have it all figured out right now. You don't. But also don't fall into like the ease of like, okay, especially if you're in your 20s like me, it's so easy. You know how easy it is for me to be like, okay, I'm in my 20s. I'm going to chill. I'm going to keep it. I'm just going to relax. Like there's also a fine balance between the both. You got to have a will to want to figure something out, but also not pressure yourself so much because there's no fun in that either. So you got this. You were made to find the line. You were made to challenge yourself and to find goals and to encourage each other and help each other. We don't all have to be experts. Like in a world full of experts, sometimes we just want someone we can relate to. So feel empowered, feel loved, and I'm right here with you on this journey. And again, thank you so much for listening. And we will talk again soon.